This story is in 8th grade. I was in the so-called popular gang. It wasn't a great place for me as I wasn't happy with myself. So I was usually the odd one out, the one that always sits at the end of the table. Days go on and I get tired of it, so I leave to go to another group. They were kind and actually talked to me. Then the popular girls started worrying about me, which made no sense since they were the ones who left me out. A toxic girl from the popular group that I used to be friends with accused me of saying rude things about her mother. So of course, these girls decided to go to a counselor and say what I supposedly did. I had to apologize for stuff I didn't say and give reasons why I was feeling left out. Even with telling them how I felt, their actions didn't change. The following year, I ditched them completely. It was difficult without anyone during those times, but I became happier after I left the toxic environment and joined another group. I wasn't pretending with them, and I have found self-love and courage. I am more myself than I have ever been. One time, I'd completely forgotten about a job interview I had. I told a friend of mine that I was probably going to be late since it was in 10 minutes. He was kind enough to personally drive me there. I arrived in time. He's one of the reasons I got that job, and this job is very important to me. I needed this job since it can greatly help me get into the university program that I yearn to get into. So, I really thank him. In March, I tore my ACL, MCL, and meniscus during a soccer game. It prevented me from being able to play any sport because I was on crutches for about a month, and this was very difficult since I love sports. There were a few people who would ask to help me carry my backpack or books whenever they saw me, which made my day because I sometimes really struggled. There were 1 or 2 people I knew who had had similar injuries that had also needed surgery, and it really helped when they offered to talk about the recovery. I have never had a knee injury, so I really appreciated them giving me information on how they dealt with it. It really sucked not knowing when I would be able to do certain things, so talking to people about their recovery timeline, what they did to get there faster, and the things they did to keep themselves busy made my recovery a lot easier and better. Last year, I was dating this guy for a couple months. By the end of it, I was in a pretty rough mental state. Our relationship severely lacked communication, and I always heard how he was feeling from my friends, since he actually spoke to them. For the last month of our relationship, I wanted to end it because I was so stressed. The reason I didn't earlier is that he was still someone I cared about a lot, and I couldn't stand hurting him. However, my friends were always so supportive and tried giving any advice they could. I finally decided I needed to breathe and focus on myself, so I ended it, and my friends stayed by my side. They made me realize I shouldn't feel guilty for choosing my mental health over his feelings, and that really allowed me to develop myself afterwards. I don't think I would have been able to pull out of the relationship if my friends hadn't been there to make me see my self-worth and how I deserve to be treated. Around this time last year, I had a lot on my mind with some stuff going on at home. Unfortunately, it was a sensitive topic for everyone in my family, which made it hard for us to talk about. Even though I have the most supportive and caring friends, I didn't really feel like mentioning it to them, so no one knew what was going on. I thought I wanted it that way, but it appeared that I wasn't very good at pretending everything was fine. One of my friends noticed something was a little off and reached out to me about it. At that moment, I felt very overwhelmed, but relieved, and in the end, happier. Now, looking back, it's very clear to me that little gestures such as a quick check-in with your friends, family, or peers can make all the difference. For what only seems like a simple greeting or question for you can relieve another person's day or week's worth of stress or worries built up inside. Another thing I would like to emphasize is that a lot of people make a real effort to try and act like everything is normal. So even if you don't sense anything is wrong, checking in before you see a sad expression or tears can never do any harm. A few years ago, I experienced my second concussion in 2 years. Concussions are compounding injuries, so this one was much worse than the previous concussion. I was having a lot of trouble at school as I found it hard to concentrate and I had terrible headaches. I was really struggling in classes that required a lot of note-taking. 2 of my best friends noticed I was struggling to keep up, and from then on, they shared their notes with me in case I missed anything on my own. It felt really good to know that I was surrounded by such supportive people. This made a huge difference for me and helped me get through a really tough time. My high school experience has all become a blur of studying and procrastinating. I'm not sure if classes actually got more competitive in grade 10 or if I just felt that they needed to be. I have forgotten most of that year due to stress and the mundane routine. One thing I remember is a time I was paired up with a boy from my class. We were some of the last people left in the building to help clean up and were given a jug of milk to dispose of. My partner suggested we pour it out on the roof. I agreed, and we snuck up to the roof, slid around on the ice sheets, and disposed of the milk carton in epic fashion. We spent maybe 30 minutes laughing and just chatting. It wasn't any life-changing epiphany moment, just a break from everything that was going on. The guy on the roof was being so nice, and this, with many other experiences, shifted my views and helped me put things in perspective. In your life, you can decide what's important and what just isn't worth your time and stress. For me, this made me realize I wanted to have more of the little moments, try new things, and not be stuck in such a negative headspace.